Kurt, a little bit of a conflict of interest for you, mate, with you being associated with this Red V podcast and obviously being a Tigers diehard. How do you see the match transpiring on Sunday afternoon?
Well, firstly, I'll say that I do want the Dragons to be a lot better than what they've been. So thank you, Jack, and the Red V podcast for that. But look, I'm doing a rain dance for Sunday. The West, look, West Tigers against Manly at Campbelltown. I feel like Manly weren't up for the game, and the weather brought them back. I feel like, again, in Bathurst, it was piss and rain from 9 a.m. in the morning. The Panthers had a few players out, but if you look at that Panthers team compared to West Tigers, the Wooden Spooners against the back-to-back champions, like West Tigers, the Panthers were $1.11 by kickoff.
Yeah, wow.
So to me, the Dragons, from what we've seen so far this year, the Dragons have a far bigger attacking arsenal, but I don't know. The reaction of somewhat, and to me, Lomax, I reckon he's got some really good mates in that Dragons, and this is just from the outside. I reckon he's got some really good mates in that team, and I reckon he probably gets on the nose of a few blokes as well, and that's fine. That's football. Different personalities. But if the Dragons are serious as pro football players this weekend, they turn up and have a red-hot crack. And don't frustrate the Dragons fans again to the point where, we get another media scrum at the end of the game and go, I'm really proud of my team, but we went down again. If they're serious, that they get up for this game. I don't want them moping around like little babies if they get down in the game. Otherwise, they deserve another week of attacks in the media. They deserve it. So look, to me, it's no conflict. I think I know the West Tigers are probably still going to get the wooden spoon. But what I will say is that there might be a nice little share tonight from the Macarthur Rugby League Rap podcast to promote our preview of this game. But I just hope it's a good game. If it is dry, I think the West Tigers maybe are coming into a little bit more form. I'm worried that if the Dragons don't take this seriously, they will play the West Tigers attack into some form, which is the one thing we haven't seen this year. The forwards are they're improving every week, this West Tigers pack.
Yeah.
And Wakeman and Brooks, whatever. You can say what you want about those two, but there's some good outside backs there too. It's the same as the Dragons, but I just feel, to me, and I've been saying this all year, I thought the Dragons were progressing nicely as a team through the back end of last year, off-season, pre-season, and even little things I saw based around Sloan and Sullivan and stuff like that. But, yeah, this could be anything on Sunday, but I just hope it's a close game, but not necessarily because one team's played poor and the other one's just good enough to win. I hope both teams get to enjoy Magic Round up there on Sunday because I'd be very game wearing a West or Dragons jersey up there on Magic Round in Brisbane.
Do you see the Tigers attacking or trying to pick out little bits of play that we saw from the Bulldogs on Sunday? The Dragons play quite a compressed defensive line, so they were caught short a couple of times on Sunday. Jake Averillo burnt the Dragons twice. Can you see the Tigers maybe trying to replicate, if not all of that, some of that kind of attacking play, those early shifts to the edges, Kurt?
I don't know. West Tigers, I think, have purposely played very compressed for a lot of the season, to the point where they're okay from first tackle up until they get to about the 30 or 40 in attack, and then they kind of lose their way. I think the rain, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but the weather has kind of made them go back to basics and say, okay, we need to build pressure. We need to get to here on the field. We need to set up for if we can't score, then we need to repeat the set and put more pressure on. I've never seen a team turn the ball more back on the inside than they did on Saturday night against the Panthers. But again, that was because of weather. My fear for the Dragons is that the West Tigers, if they were so good against the Panthers in the rain, and they got it all right with very, very minimal mistakes. And then when the game was out to be won, they did shift. There was a Sarford Toa spread on the right under pressure from their own half. And then only for the second time in the second half, they spread it with 30 minutes to go, and Nofoaluma scored his 100th try. and they defended for 30 minutes to beat the Panthers. 30 minutes, and there was a lot of pressure there. I just feel, from a West Tigers perspective, if we play the same boring football we did in wet weather last week, the Dragons will find a way to win, and it will be a Sloan or a Hail Mary from Sullivan off the bench or something like that, or a chip and chase from someone through the middle, whatever. But I also, from the Dragons' perspective, I feel like if they don't come to the game ready to play 80 minutes of footy, they're going to find a way to let the West Tigers find their attack and release them at the back end of the game, which is, I mean, with all due respect to my West Tigers, but if the Dragons do that, they're going to be whipping boys on Twitter for an entire week, I feel, which is, and look, I don't want that to happen. I really don't, but I'm just worried where the Dragons are at as well.
As a Tigers fan, are you worried by the Dragons' attack, or are there players that, if you were Tim Sheens or Benji Marshall, you'd want to be putting an X on that you're worried about that can cause some damage? You probably just spoke about them with the likes of Sloan and Sullivan and the Fionney boys.
Yeah, look, yes, because they still don't understand, and I'm talking about the youngsters. I say yes because they still don't understand who they are as a team, or in this case, the rookies, how good they can be. So they can create something out of nothing. But again, you look at the Bulldogs; they just do stuff because it's football.
Yeah,
it's just the first thing that happens is I've got the ball, I see a space, I'm going to do it. I don't even know I'm doing it. That means expect the unexpected. On the flip side, I look at these forward packs on paper, and the teams released today. West Tigers forward pack, and the form they've been building into. I know people are going to go, oh, he's being biased and all that stuff, but the West Tigers have the forward pack at least has been very, very good the last couple of weeks. Clemmer ran for 200 last week. His mate, Stefano Utokomanu, is a smoky for Origin. He's not far off. Bateman, okay, he's struggling with the ball still, but his defence last week, there was a couple of signs in that second half where he was hitting guys across the middle, straight in the ribs, and he was cutting people in half. He's finding his form back in the NRL through defence. Coruscant and Papali'i, they're digging in. They're class. The bench for me was really good for West Tigers last week. Twal, Offengowie, Simkin. There's another bloke named on the bench, Kapoa. He's an outside back. I expect him to drop out and either Matamua or Seyfarth come in. It should be Matamua, but look, this sounds familiar, but West Tigers staff refuse to play Matamua, who is a gun, but just can't get into the 17. I don't know why. So Dragons fans will understand that. So to me, this could be a shootout, but I just hope that both teams respect each other enough to get into the grind first, and then we see some good football after that. It just comes down to they're very similar in the fact that at any moment, the whole game can be blown up by a kick out on the full, intercept pass. It's just those little moments in the game where both sides just kind of fall off a cliff, and that can then be a snowball which becomes an avalanche, and then the game's gone.
Well, if the Tigers defend like they did against the Panthers on Saturday night, the Dragons won't score more than 2 tries.
I'll agree with that. To the point where
they might be lucky to score 2 if that's the way it goes.
Yeah, no, look, and I'm not trying to build the West Tigers up, but I hadn't seen West Tigers defend like that maybe in 13 years, like going back to 2010, 2011 when they had that really good team with Gareth Ellis and whatnot. They lifted as the game went on and started intimidating the Panthers pack, and I can't believe I'm saying that, but the young dummy half, Jake Simkin, was cutting blokes in half in the second half and forcing mistakes. And I know it was in the rain, but you can only play what's in front of you. If West Tigers come out with intensity, I'm sure the Dragons can go with it for a while. It'll just be interesting to see if the Dragons get under the pressure. This is the other thing too, and it goes back to what we were saying before about what the Dragons players think of themselves and how good they think they're going in their own mindsets. Is that imagine if they're down by 20 to West Tigers after, say, half an hour at Magic Round against other fans, like in front of other fans, and the whole rugby league world looking at them, this is a